My color is way off. I am Christy Ogle, the host of the Sometimes Spouse podcast, and today is Ask A Realtor with our realtor expert, Bonnie Dominguez. Welcome, Bonnie.
Hey, I'm so excited to be here. Yes, and give all the information that we're talking about asking a realtor.
Yeah, so she's one of our experts that's on Ask A Realtor. Bonnie, where do you service? What's your service area for realty?
Primary is Bell County, but I would say consider all Central Texas because, even in Bell County, sometimes driving from where I'm at, it takes 45 minutes to an hour to get to the other side of Killeen, and then driving to Waco is like the same. So pretty much all of the area of Central Texas.
So she's got like Fort Hood, Killeen, Belton, Temple. You've got Waco in there too. That is a huge area, but Bell County is ginormous anyways.
It is. And then if you think, sometimes if you're in a bigger city, sometimes it takes that long to get, 15 minutes. So it's like, oh, it's really not that big of a deal because we're not stuck in traffic.
No. I was
we get to drive.
And I was like, I was in Waco today and I'm like, this is traffic. I don't have this kind of traffic in China Spring, Texas.
Right. Yeah, for sure. So I like it when you can just go. And so if I have to drive 45 minutes to an hour, it's probably okay. And that's time needed. It's mental health time sometimes.
So tell me, do you have any unique hobbies?
Do I have any unique hobbies? Well, I have a lot of things that I'm involved in. So as far as like fun, I guess, that would be more of just like, I think you remember I'm a former hairstylist. And so always have a thing for beauty. So my hobby, I guess, would be this fun stuff right here that I put on my nails. So they can be addicting. That would probably be my biggest hobby right now.
And this woman, like, she shares her addiction.
Yeah. Well, and what's funny is because real estate is so time consuming and you get caught up in the day to day. My daughter is 22 and it actually ended up being a way where we could like share something and do something together. So that's, even though, we've been playing with this stuff for a little while, she's kind of left me a little bit. So I'm trying to bring her back in like, hey, this is supposed to be mom and daughter time.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. These are like, these nail strips that she sells are like, you put them on and you don't have to wait for them to dry or anything.
Nope. You could just get up and go. And if you're in the car in between clients and you're like, oh my gosh, because that was actually some of my problem before, like signing contracts and things, people are looking at your nails and you're like, kind of like trying to hide it. So if you see that you have a bad set on, you just grab another pack, put it right on and voila.
Wow. Yours look a lot better than mine.
Yeah. Well, thank you. But it is a lot of fun. So
how long have you been a realtor, Bonnie?
Oh gosh. So going on, it'll be 8 years. Yeah.
Wow.
So time is just flying by. And I did hair and real estate for a little while simultaneously. And now I'm getting, how long ago did I quit doing hair? Because, both of them are not easy businesses and they both are client based. So you have to build a little bit before you get into it. A lot of people think that get into real estate and, you're going to just go sell all the houses and it takes a lot of work. And you don't realize that till you actually get in.
Yeah, it takes some time to get a business established, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. No matter what it is, it doesn't have to be real estate, but it takes time, especially when you have to build something, so one step at a time.
I was talking to a guy yesterday who he was telling me about his business. It was some sort of app that he developed. And he said, well, I expected to put it on social media and it to take off overnight and get thousands of orders. Like, that's what we all expected.
Right. Yeah. Well, and it's that whole iceberg effect, right? So you see the success, like somebody did that and they're like just shining through and you're like, well, I want to do that. So I'm going to just put my stuff on social media, whether it's, promoting your real estate business or whatever it is. And you don't realize everything, all of the no's that it took to get there, so all the frustration of how many times do I have to put this on social media? Even though everybody's looking at it, we're actually kind of against Facebook, or they're against us. Like, what does Facebook let our audience see too? We are just talking about that a little while ago, just trying to tag people.
Yeah. And the Facebook algorithm, I could put something up at 1 o'clock and then put something up at 1:10. And it's a totally different group of people that Facebook will show it to.
Right.
So I post about 7 to 10 times a day, but it goes out to groups of different hundreds of people.
Yes.
So yeah, Facebook is crazy with their algorithm, and it's really hard to figure out.
That is so true. That's so true. Because I've had people ask, well, how many times do you post on Facebook? And it's like, well, sometimes you have to post 10 or 20 times a day just for see it. So, and you have to just not feel like you're spamming people. And obviously you want to give good content so that you don't feel spammy, because if you feel spammy, you probably are.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Bonnie, are you a buyer or a seller's agent mostly?
I would say seller's agent. Right now, we probably have 95% of our business has been listings. So now that's definitely not always been the case, because it is always easier to pick up buyers. So the first 3 to 4 years, I was primarily a buyer's agent. And then after that time frame, usually that's kind of too when the turnover of your clients, if you did a good job the first time, they'll call you back. So those people that I helped buy the house, now they're like, okay, Bonnie, we're thinking about selling. And so that's where it starts turning. So just in the last couple of years, it's been changing more to a selling agent.
So when you're getting people to list their home, there's some certain turnoffs to buyers that they need to really watch for. So let's just talk about, like, I'm looking to buy a house and I'm trying to pull up to a house. What are some things that sellers should think about when they're having buyers come look at their house? Some turnoffs.
So, I mean, when you have a buyer coming up, first impression is everything. So curb appeal, start off with the curb appeal. What does it look like outside? Is there, and sometimes you can't do anything about your neighbors next to you, but you can try to do everything that you can to your house. So just making it clean. And I always try to use the phrase of, have you seen a magazine and you like the way the magazine looks? Now you don't have to do all those things to it. Keep it simple, but just make it like, when you pull up, what do you want to see? And if you hate the way your house looks every time you pull up into the driveway, well, then it's probably something that somebody else might think the same thing. And because whenever I am working for a buyer, I actually do have people go drive through the neighborhood, pass through, see what you think. Because if you don't like that, then that's probably not the one. So curb appeal is probably the very first thing that I start recommending to do something.
So if you've got a motor sitting in your front yard,
yeah, it's probably got to go. It probably did. Yeah.
Or if your Christmas lights are still up in July.
Yeah. Yeah. One of those that are celebrating Christmas in July.
My daughter last night was listening to Christmas music. I'm like, really? She's like, that's really hot, Mom. Okay.
Right. Well, Christmas is positive, so some people need the positivity right now. So
true. And they definitely need it, because this is the world's longest spring break.
Right. Yeah, for sure. For the kids and the parents.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
So when they've got the curb appeal taken care of, they've got the yard all mown and, pretty stuff outside. But when you walk in, that first impression, what's some bad first impressions you've noticed at some houses that you took buyers into?
I would say smell, because that, depending on, the house itself anyways, that's probably the one thing. Like, you open the door, sometimes you don't even have to walk in the door and you can have an odor. So if you have pet odor, anything like that, that would probably be the one. Because I have literally taken buyers into a house where there was pet odor and we didn't even walk in. Like, it was that bad. So you don't want to have that, because then you're not going to have anybody taking a look at your house and saying, okay, we can get rid of this, because
Yeah.
people are wanting to buy a house and they don't want to do stuff to it. That's probably why they're getting rid of or getting out of their other house, is to buy something that maybe they don't have to do anything to. And if they have to do that, because with pet odor, it's not carpet, it's not just carpets, it's the padding, it's the, the air ducts. Sometimes I guess if it's that bad, it could be the walls if you have cats and dogs that maybe pee on things, So having pets, even though it just reminds me of that Febreze commercial, when you're when the mom walks in and it looks like socks, dirty socks, but you're like nose blind to it. You can get that way. And so if somebody else doesn't tell you, it might hurt your feelings. But that's what we're here for. So listen to your realtor.
Yeah, it's really important to have a realtor and not just go out and do it on your own, because they're professionals. They sell houses every day, all day long. So they really know what to look for when a buyer's coming into your home.
Right. And then, just talking about what you just said, doing it by yourself. Well, 98% of your buyers are represented by a realtor. So if you don't have one, or if you're not using one, you're actually limiting yourself to only 2% of the buyers that are out there. And so, unless that person is driving through your neighborhood, because that's a neighborhood they want to be in, you've just limited yourself. Because when it goes into the MLS, because you've listed with a realtor, then it's getting out to, people. We have agents coming all the way from Dallas. They won't find it if you're not in the MLS. So it makes it a lot harder.
That makes a huge difference. Now, you said pet odors. So I have been in a lot of houses. Some people are getting ready to list their house within the next couple of months. They'll call our handyman service and cleaning service to come in. I remember this one lady, I walked into the house. She'd been hoarding for like 30 years. And she had cats everywhere. I didn't even know. I had to send it off to biohazard because I had no clue, or did I even want to touch it, right? But her cats, interesting thing about cats is cats will mark their territory. So they'll like pee on the walls and the owners don't even know.
Yeah.
And it's like this awful smell. I mean, I remember walking in, not only was the odor horrific, but the fleas, they bit my ankles.
Yeah.
Have you ever had that happen? Or
Yes.
roaches or something else crazy like that?
I have the fleas. Oh my gosh. I got down from my car and stepped out and looked down and my ankles were black. And luckily I was doing a preview, so I didn't actually have the buyer meeting me.
Yeah.
And so I left. I mean, I got in my car and realized that, oh my gosh, there was no way to get the fleas. So the fleas are now jumping in my car all over me, and, called the buyers and I'm like, this place is infested right now. So I think we'll wait. But yeah. And so that was definitely a huge turnoff. And then after that, they didn't even want to see the property.
I bet not.
Yeah. That was the first time, and that was bad.
If you've got it that bad, call Bug Guy.
Yeah. I mean, their whole yard was, so I can't even imagine what being inside the house was, just having them all over you like that. So.
Oh my gosh. What about when they walk in and it looks like grandma's parlor and it looked like there's stuff everywhere? I've heard to not have a bunch of stuff out when you're selling a house. Give us your opinion on that.
Definitely so. So simplifying, and I always go back to the magazine look, because usually when you're looking at a magazine, you're like, "Ooh, that's pretty. I like that." Well, most of the time there's hardly any things there. It's, one vase on a counter or one picture on a wall. Typically you don't see like family photos, different things like that. And not only just for the look, but also the privacy too of the homeowners. Because, they go and they're all looking at your family, and then they see you, they're like, hey, that's their house.
Yeah.
Just for the privacy, but it just makes the house, when you take all of those things out and remove as much as you can, the rooms feel bigger. You just have a more streamlined, just showing and it feels better. So, because yeah, if there's a bunch of stuff in the room, you just feel like claustrophobic, and it's hard to really like look at the house because you're looking at the stuff.
What do they do with all that stuff, Bonnie? What do you recommend? Because they can't like put it all in the garage and
Well, a lot of times, depending on how much stuff they have, that's actually the first thing I recommend is I always tell everybody, hey, look, do you plan on moving? We know this house is going to sell pretty fast, especially in our market right now. So just pack it up, put it in boxes and, you know, line it up neatly in the garage. Don't just throw it in there because you want them to still see that. And then they can see how much storage space they have, you know. But yeah, I just recommend, you know, if they have too many oversized pieces, then it's like, okay, we probably need to get a storage for a month or so. But I start off with the garage because at the end of the day, I am trying to help them save money. And so not asking them to go pay for all these things is definitely what we try to do first. So
there was a story of a realtor here in the Waco, Texas area that I think it was 6 or 8 months ago. She went to go do a showing and somebody had left their, I think it was pit bull dogs out and she got bit and the lister got, or the person viewing the house got bit too. Is that an issue with pets?
I would say, I don't know if it's an issue, but it's definitely something that should, like, before you actually have the house on the market, make sure you're having all the conversations about your pets. You know, do you want to take them with you? If not, where will they be? I usually always put a 2-hour showing requirement prior to. So like if you schedule today, you can't get in 2 hours prior to the hour that you want to go see. So you can't show up in 15 minutes probably. And to prevent something like that happening, that way it's like, okay, we know that there's dogs, and usually if there's like something like that, it'll be like a note to the agent in the MLS saying, hey, you know, they do have pit bulls, beware, just in case.
Put their dogs and pets away or take them with them?
They've seen both. I've seen both. Because some people, when they go to work all day, they just put them in a kennel.
Yeah.
So I have seen both. Mm-hmm.
I have 2 boxers. I couldn't let them be at the house at all because they would just be so loud.
Well, and that's, so because there's some houses you go into that they have pets and they don't have the odor, like there's nothing you can tell. There's even people that will put the kennels away, put the dog bowls away where you can't see them.
Wow.
And so they take them with them, and so then the people don't even know that there was pets there, and so it takes away some of that, like that first objection. Oh, well, you know, it's got dog hair everywhere or whatever. So I have seen that too, where they just remove everything, like it goes into a cabinet, you know, and nobody even knows that there's a dog there. So ideally, that would probably be the best situation for everyone. Then, you know, at the end of the day, it's that first thing, it's the objection, because that's what we're always fighting is the objection. Well, do you want to put an offer on this house?
Mm-hmm. Another thing that I've noticed, because we get a lot of people that have just bought a house or they're getting ready to put a house on the market with sometimes spouse. And we had a call earlier today, this lady that had purchased a home and somebody was supposed to clean it before they purchased it, but they got there and it was dirty. And she said, Christy, you wouldn't believe how dirty the shower is. She goes, it was supposed to be cleaned before we moved in. Can you be out here today? And I said, of course, we'll send one of the girls out there and get you taken care of. But that's got to be a huge turnoff, having a dirty house. Because you want to move in and it be ready.
Right. Well, and not only that, so sometimes people think even past the dirtiness of it and think, okay, well, if you didn't clean your house, you didn't take care of it, what else did you not take care of? So the cleanliness, yes, it's definitely a turnoff, but then it brings up a lot of other things. Like, because if you're just neglecting your shower where you've got mold and, you know, all the caulking's coming out, it's like, okay, what else is there that I can't see? So being clean or having it cleaned is definitely good, but you can tell when it hasn't been well maintained. for sure.
Yeah, another thing I've heard just from doing this podcast is to have good lighting.
Yes, for sure. Well, because the lighting, it makes it bigger. Like, and especially like if you have painted walls that are all dark and you have dim lighting, well, then that goes back to that the feel of the room, and it just feels small, even though it may be just as big as the 20 by 20 master, and then you're in another room that's just painted all dark, but they have two totally different feelings, yet they could be the same size. They just feel different because of the colors. Mm-hmm.
Now, do people still have wallpaper in 2020?
I've started seeing a little bit more, actually. It's more of the trendy modern, but the flowers and everything, most of that's all gone because the people that are buying those houses are usually remodeling them.
I remember when I was a kid, I had this wallpaper on my wall that was just teddy bears.
Yeah, yes.
Fly today, would it?
No, probably not. Unless you have like the vinyl and it's in a nursery that you can take off.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I remember that. Oh,
yeah, so not so much today. It's usually being remodeled. I actually do have one right now that is being remodeled, and there is wallpaper with flowers everywhere.
you have to take that off in a particular way. You can't just rip it off of the walls. There's like a process. Max hates doing the wallpaper, but you have to do it right or it messes up the walls.
Oh gosh, yeah. So that's why we leave it to the professionals.
Exactly.
Stuff to the professionals.
Max went to a house the other day that they were getting ready to list their house, and they had a tree growing out of their gutters. Have you ever seen that?
I never put anything past. There's always something weird going on. And, I guess the tree, maybe they lived there a long time and didn't realize it till it was already too late. Once they're getting that new roof or whatever, and then it's like, oh gosh, how did that tree get there? But then again, too, like I said earlier about cleanliness, it brings up the whole point. How much are you paying attention to things? What are you not doing in the house? So people look at all that stuff.
Yeah, they do. Like, should a seller hang out at the house if they have a potential buyer coming by?
Oh no, for sure not. For one, you might have that brown color on the wall, and that could be the thing that they're looking past, and they're like, oh my gosh, that color is hideous. Like, there's a why in the world, and it could be the seller's absolute favorite color. So you're going to get your feelings hurt if you hear some of the things that they're talking about. But as soon as you hit or sign that contract with that realtor that you're putting your house on the market, it has to be a business decision. You have to get all of those emotions out of the way. And so by listening to those things, that could have been your house you grew up in as a kid, and all of the memories were made in that house, all the fun times, Christmases and Thanksgivings, and it's sentimental. And so you have to take the emotion out of it. And so, but if you hear somebody say, oh my gosh, this is ugly, and they're just, you can see them making faces, well, then you might not feel the same way when you get that offer from them about, well, I'm not doing this. And so it has to be business. And so by just cutting that part out, not being there is the best thing for you.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So Bonnie, if somebody is getting ready to sell their home or even buy a house, even though you mostly do selling, how do they get a hold of you?
So you can Google me, Bonnie Dominguez, and you can just Google Bonnie Dominguez Realtor. That's right there on Google. You can also call me at 254-466-0176, or find me on Facebook, because I'm all over the place on Facebook too.
You are.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I contact her, is on Facebook all the time.
You know what? It's so much easier. Sometimes I actually see those before I'll actually see a text. So.
Now, I always like to ask a fun question at the end of
yes.
Ask A Realtor. So say you've been given an elephant and you can't sell it and you can't give it away. What are you going to do with an elephant?
You can't sell it and you can't give it away. Oh man, that is a good one. Well, I guess, I mean, I don't want to make them work too much, but figure out how we can turn a new hobby into including the elephant. Who needs trailers, right?
Yeah, yeah, I love it.
Just attach a wagon, and that's how you go for a walk. Instead of walk the dog, walk the elephant. I don't know. So I'm going to put it back to you. What would you do with it?
I would open up an elephant ride. I'd have to
Oh, there you go.
yeah, and then I would charge people to ride my elephant because as I ask you the question, I'm like, how can I make money from an elephant? That's what I'm thinking. Like, how can I
Yeah.
monetize the elephant? Because I'm not gonna like pet him or anything.
Yeah. I don't know. We might. Could be the new family pet.
Sell the fertilizer.
There you go.
There's a lot of it.
There would be. Uh,
Well, Bonnie, thank you so much for being on Ask a Realtor. It has been a true
Thank you.
joy.
Thank you. It's so much fun to be here.
Bye, girl.
Bye.